This video considers the test of a relationship between a categorical dependent variable and a categorical independent variable. The test that we will be looking at is the ChiSquareTest, which is appropriate when both the independent and the dependent variables are measured categorically. What we have here is data about the nature of cases arriving at an emergency room. Other indicates that the case was not an emergency. Emergency indicates that it was an emergency. Night indicates that the case arrived at night, and day indicates that it arrived during the day. We're now going to look at the question of whether case, that is, whether the case was an emergency or other, is independent of whether arrival time was day or night. To do that with chi-square, the first thing that we must do is to create a contingency table that includes all of the data. To create the contingency table, we will go to Data, Pivot and Table and Chart Report, Next, and as you can see, the moving dotted line is around all of the data. Then we'll go to Next and to Layout. And since arrival time is expected to be the independent variable, that will go in the columns area. Case is expected to be the dependent variable, and we will put, again, case in data, and when it is put into data, it comes in as count of case. It's possible to use virtually any piece of information in the data as the piece of information that goes into the data section. For example, I could have put obs or observations into the data area, but then it comes in as sum of observations, since observations is a number from 1 to, in this case, 100, because there are 100 observations. But I can double right click this and change it to count, in which case I'm now counting observations. So I'm going to leave it this way, and I'll say OK. Now this says it's going to go into a new worksheet, and when I say finish, I now have this as the contingency table. And as you can see, we have 13 emergencies that came during the day, 17 that came during the night, 47 other that came during the day, and 23 other that came during the night. There were 30 emergencies in all and 70 non-emergencies. And we now have the data we need to generate the chi-square. Before moving to that, however, because it's very difficult to work with a pivot table when one wishes to do calculations, I'm going to highlight the entire thing. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste special values. So this is no longer a pivot table, it's simply a set of data.